Hey everybody, Dustin DePirek here, columnist Jeremy Price. Zach Osterman, I think he's posting this to overtime as well.
Yeah,
so this will be
just kind of pirating this.
I understand. We've been, kind of stealing his services for nothing for, a couple of years, so it stands to reason. Anyway, Indiana loses for the first time this year. It goes down 88-86 to Butler here at the Crossroads Classic on, not a last-second shot, but a shot with 2.3 seconds left by sophomore walk-on Alex Barlow. 2.5, 2.3. I think it was 2.3 at the timeout, regardless.
They put .2 back on after whatever.
Regardless, point made. If anyone was thinking undefeated, that's officially over. And what was just a really thrilling game. I mean, I think both coaches pointed out. I mean, this was a game between two very, very good teams. I mean, Butler is quite clearly going to be a player, and they look like an NCAA tournament team again. I guess just to start, I think in a way this is good for them. Frankly, for Indiana. Not obviously, if you're Indiana, you never want to lose a game. But I think this is a game that they learn a lot from. They take a lot from. There were some things that show up on film that they've got to correct, and they paid for it dearly in some cases. And they obviously have some stuff that they can take back and truly work on and truly know how it burns them as compared to the other games that they've played, in which case they could get away with mistakes and stuff like that. I think this is a game they could really sort of bounce up from.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I mean, that's the big thing, is this is a case where your mistakes will haunt you. Mm-hmm. And in this case, it actually did. I mean, of course, as it turns out, it almost didn't.
Right.
But
very close to not doing that, but yeah.
But definitely, they learned a lot of lessons. You make mistakes, miscommunications. Don't get rebounds, don't get loose balls, don't make free throws. It'll cost you.
All of the above, sort of combined. I mean, I didn't think they were horrible at the line. I mean, 11 misses looks bad, but they were 27 for 38. They were out of line.
They hit them when they mattered. They had a lot of free throws. I mean, free throws kept them in it down the stretch. I think they went 8.5 minutes without a made field goal in the second half, from like 11-19 to 3:42 or something like that. So, and free throws, at least kept them in touching distance. And then they made some big ones down the stretch when they were tying it up at the end of regulation.
Right. The one thing that obviously jumps out, Butler had 19 offensive rebounds, and more than the point, had 27 second chance points. Indiana had almost as many offensive rebounds, had 18, only had 17 second chance points. I guess that's what. How do we sort of explain this exactly? Well, what exactly is the reason they were able to get beat as badly as they were on the glass?
I'm going to throw out a tempo-free statistic, so some people might not like it, but
I support tempo-free statistics.
Well, I'm just talking more generally.
I see.
Offensive rebounding percentage. Basically, what it measures is not how many offensive rebounds you pull in a game, but how many offensive rebounds you pull in relative to how many rebounds shots there are. You miss.
Right.
So you have Butler in this game misses.
36
shots.
Grabs 19 rebounds. So that's a pretty close to 50% average.
I mean, its offensive rebounding percentage at that point, I think, is like over 50% or near 50%. It's not. It's
plus
not
free
quite.
Throws, but still, yeah.
Yeah, it's not quite whatever, because you do have to add in free throws. But Indiana came into this game, I think it was 26.4% was opponent's offensive rebound percentage. Butler today, I believe, was 48.1. So Butler pulled in an offensive rebound on nearly half of its available misses.
Yeah.
And that just speaks to. Cody Zeller was getting thrown around by Andrew Smith. I mean, he was just getting moved. Like if you go back and watch tape of him off the ball, trying to establish position, he wasn't doing it, and he wasn't holding it when he did. Mm-hmm. Christian Watford only three rebounds. I mean, Oladipo had 8 of his team's 38 rebounds. Nobody else, I don't.
No, that's Yogi Ferrell.
Yogi Ferrell. Well, then in that
that's
case,
even worse.
In that case, really, I think you got to look at it and say nobody honestly impacted in the rebounding game for Indiana.
The way they're supposed to. No.
And it was just kind of indicative of, to me, and I wrote this in my column, like this was exactly what Indiana said it was expecting from Butler. It said it expected a physical test. Steve McClain called it a Big Ten-like test. Mm-hmm. It got that, and to put it bluntly and a little bit cliched, it failed.
Yeah, no, it very much did. I mean, Butler played this like a conference game. It had the pace of a conference game. The numbers end up being higher, 88-86. But Indiana, had a hard time getting going in transition, had a hard time scoring when they didn't. When they had to play in the half court, they didn't do particularly well, and Butler wanted to keep it that way. And Butler did execute very, very well in the half court. That took advantage of a lot of miscommunications, especially in overtime. There were two, huge three-pointers. Rodney Clark hit one, and Chase Stiegel hit one. I think somebody went under a screen on the Clark three. and they had a miscommunication on a switch. Basically, Jordy Holes, they had Will Sheehy and Victor Oladipo were sort of ended up doubling Rodney Clark because they were trying to trap him. And he passed to Stiegel, and I think Holes was just trying to follow the ball and just trying to follow a pass. Stiegel pass faked him, and Holes just went straight with it because he was supposed to be on somebody else anyway, and he was just helping over on a rotation, and Holes was then way out of the picture for Stiegel to hit one. But all those things burn them, like you said. I mean, the rebounding obviously is huge. Glad we're adding a new backdrop here. But all of those things, though, I mean, as Tom Crean said, I mean, all of those things are things they can fix at the very least. I mean, there are things that they can work on. There are things that they can emphasize, things that they can practice with, and now they'll be able to show things. I think Tom Crean said that, I'm anxious to get to rebounding drills. I can't wait for this. He says no one else is going to take that much joy in it with me, but I am.
Verdell Jones tweeted just sometime during the second half that Crean would have his team doing football rebounding drills tomorrow. So
yeah. No, it looks that way. Somebody, a lot of people asked the question, just what happened on that last play, why Cody Zeller was not in. Tom just basically said that they were trying to switch everything. The point was they wanted to have a lineup that could switch on every screen, and I guess that just means they decided that they didn't think it would be, that they didn't want a situation where they could switch Zeller into a bad matchup, where they'd be in a position,
with
I guess,
Butler being so small. There was no obvious matchup for Zeller defensively with Butler losing all three of its post.
Right. But it obviously, it's a calculated gamble in a way they kind of lost it because they didn't have anybody there to sort of back up Holes and be able to sort of come in and swat a shot. I mean, there was no sort of rim protection there, and Barlow was able to just kind of back Holes in. So I guess it's an understandable risk. It's an understandable, I guess you could see the logic in where he was coming from, but in the same sense, it ends up burning him.
Yeah, I mean, it just
sometimes those happen.
I don't know if I think we said this waiting for Crean after the game, if they switch on screens and get a 5-second call, or if going small means that, Hulls has actually been proved pretty useful jumping passing lanes.
Very useful jumping passing lanes.
Somebody grabs a turnover and then gets a layup, it looks brilliant. But obviously, I guess the indelible image of this game is going to be a 6-foot guard trying to hold somebody away from trying to hold a walk-on.
5'11" walk-on.
Away from the rim. At the end of at the end of an overtime game that included 174 points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
if it works, it looks brilliant.
Yeah, and really, I mean, in some cases, you're talking about two risks. I mean, Stevens didn't necessarily game plan it that way, that it's going to be like, I'm going to have my walk on just backing down Jordan Hulls. That's not what he planned necessarily. He had some sort of baseline screen action going on that he was trying to get something to come available. But obviously, it gets gutsy to put when you need one shot to put the ball in the hands of your walk on. Not Rodney Clark, not even Chase Stiegel or somebody like that. Obviously, some other guys, Roosevelt Jones, who probably had the best game of anybody today, was fouled out by that point. But there were other guys you could put the ball in their hands, and he puts it in the hands of a walk-on who then does make a play that does take advantage of Hulls' one weakness, one big weakness. I mean, I think he's, as we said it a bunch of times, I mean, for all the criticism he gets about defense, he's very, very good off the ball. He's exceptional off the ball. But on the ball, when it comes to just stopping the dribble,
and just size. I mean, it's not ripping Hulls to just say, he doesn't have a crazy wingspan. He's not a quick leaper. There's not a lot he can do to just kind of make himself big in front of people.
Right. Yeah.
And that's just, that's not his fault.
No.
It's just,
just
anatomy.
Mm-hmm. I think it was the risk that Indiana had to take. I mean, you've got Hulls on Barlow. That's, as matchups go, that's not.
You're not going to get much worse. You're much better than that, really, in that position.
And you got to figure Barlow's looking to pass the ball on that play.
Right.
Which he said he was. He said he was until
6 seconds to go.
6 seconds left. He was looking for Kellen Dunham or Rodney Clark, and
never came open. But he just saw an opportunity, saw an isolation.
But at the same time, games are won and lost. I mean, at the same time, it did not look that hard. Hulls by himself just wasn't able to slow Barlow down. And again, I don't know. Who knows what happens if Zeller's on the floor and, somebody shakes Clark or Dunham loose for a long 2 or a 3. But
yeah, you never know. Stuff happens.
And the flip side is before that, they forced a timeout. Butler couldn't get the ball in bounds with that small lineup. So, if you do that again, Butler has no timeouts. You maybe get a 5-second call, you get a turnover, whatever, and then it looks a little different.
You never know. But one way or another, I think everybody should breathe. It's December.
Yeah.
It's December. It's not March. This doesn't. I mean, they're not going to be. Indiana's not going to be number 1 on Monday. That much you can pretty much say. But Kentucky lost in December last year too, if I recall, and I think I remember how that worked out for them.
Yeah, that worked out all right.
So, anyway, thanks everybody.